Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Okay, Shavua Tov, everyone. Erev Tov. So on Thursday, we had a short shiur where we talked about that a person must be ready to forfeit his entire livelihood to avoid speaking Lashon Hara. And Chafetz Chaim continues along these lines where he says, Umizeh nuchal leda. We can learn from this ruling, that kol sheken im nogea lo rak bekavod be'alma, that certainly a person should refrain from Lashon Hara when the only thing that is at stake is his honor or his prestige. Kegon sheyoshev ben haburat anashim, he is sitting among people, ve'en lo etza ech leishamet mehem, and he has no way to depart and slip away from them while they're talking Lashon Hara. Vehem medabrim bidvarim ha'asurim al pi din, and they are speaking about matters that are clearly forbidden according to halacha. U'sheyeh yoshev vedomem, if he sits there quietly, velo yesaya imam besipurehem kelal, and he doesn't participate in the discussion whatsoever. Yehashev be'enehem kemishtagea, they're going to consider him weird. Look at this weirdo. He just sits there quietly when we're having this fun talk. You know, so the scenario they bring over here, you're at a Shabbat table, and everyone is laughing and making fun of a relative who is socially awkward, he's socially off. And if you don't want to join in the discussion, then they're going to accuse you of being an extremist, a killjoy, or whatnot. But you may not join, and you have to resist that pressure. Bevadai dasur, it's unquestionably forbidden for this man to participate in the conversation. This is what the rabbis told us in the Gemara. Mutav le'adam sheikaresh shoteh kol yamav ve'al yeh rasha sha'a achat lifnei hamakom. It's better to be called a fool, better to be called an idiot, or any type of adjective they want to use for you, or noun for that matter, and rather than sinning even for one moment in front of Hashem. And you have to use all your strength that you have at that moment to restrain yourself. And you can be sure the reward for doing so will be infinite. Like the rabbis tell us in Pirkei Avot, lefum sa'ara agra, that the reward for many things is based on the amount of effort that you put in. But certainly when it's something that is difficult to do, such as refraining from giving your 2 cents in a conversation that is dealt with Lashon Hara, the reward that is involved corresponds to the difficulty that is involved. So the greater the challenge, of course, the greater the reward. Ve'ita be'avot Rabbi Natan, likewise it's written in Avot Rabbi Natan, Ki mea pe'amim betzar mipam echad shelo betzar. A person would earn 100 times more reward for a mitzvah that is performed with adversity than for a mitzvah that is done without adversity. Okay, every moment of the day right now, we are not murdering. All of us here in this room, we are not committing lo tirtzach. Yes, there's reward involved in that. Okay, vadai. But you can't compare that to the amount of reward you're going to get when you're really put in the moment and you're really challenged for a specific mitzvah. Uve'uro, the meaning of this comment is ki devar mitzvah, that regarding the performance of a mitzvah, or lifrosh midevar isur, or the holding back of a prohibited matter, sheba lo al yedei tzar, which is accomplished during hardship, secharo mea pe'amim yoter, the reward is 100-fold greater from another mitzvah that came without any pain. And regarding such trying times, when a person is facing the many opportunities to speak ill of others. Bevadai shayach ma'amar chazal b'midrash. The following statement that is quoted in the midrash, also brought down in the letter of the Gra, applies. What is that statement? Kol rega verega she'adam chosem piv. Every moment that a person closes his mouth, chosem, he muzzles himself from speaking lashon hara. Zoche leor haganuz. He merits the hidden great light of such magnitude. Is or haganuz that is reserved here in the higher levels of Shamayim. She'en kol malach uvriya yachol lesha'er. That no angel or being can possibly fathom. Ulinyan echi naheg. And as to how a person should conduct himself, if he finds himself in this situation of this company of mockers and scoffers and so on and so forth, with regard to his obligation to give rebuke or whether or not he can accept certain things, you have to look later on in klal number 6. We're currently in klal number 1. Okay, you can also look at the introduction in number 16, for the halachot apply here as well. Okay, so 2 more halachot with regards to klal aleph. Isur ze shel lashon hara, number 8. The prohibition of lashon hara, ben im hu mesaper alav befiv mamash, o shehu kotev alav davar ze bemichtavo. Whether a person actually speaks with his mouth, Reuven actually verbally says lashon hara against Shimon, or if he writes a negative report in a letter. And of course, this is very much relevant nowadays, where it's not just a written letter, but certainly when information is shared through text messages and emails and social media, video, whatever it is, this falls into this category. V'gam en bo chiluk, there's no difference ben im hu mesaper alav halashon hara shelo beferush, whether Reuven imparts the lashon hara explicitly, uven im hu mesaper alav halashon hara b'derech remez, or whether he does it by means of insinuation, a facial expression, a gesture, body language that also conveys something negative. So the scenario that's brought in the book here, your next door neighbor fails to show up at a fundraising meeting for your children's school. The head of the committee asks you where he is. You shrug and turn your hands up in a gesture that says, what can you expect? And you have violated the prohibition of lashon hara. So even insinuating. Bechol gavne bichal lashon hara, any way that that negative information is conveyed, it is categorized as lashon hara. Even if Reuven says here in the note, does not speak or write about Shimon, but presents others with a copy of Shimon's poorly written letter that reflects Shimon's obvious lack of scholarship. Here, look at this guy's letter. He can't even spell. All right, or he he doesn't know any punctuation. That's also lashon hara. So scenario F, you receive an uncomplimentary picture on the neighborhood chat that reflects poorly on someone you commute with. You may not forward the picture even if you refrain from adding any comments. Showing pictures or displaying a video that reflects someone in a negative light is forbidden, even though there was no exchange of words. Okay, so that is halacha chet. And then halacha tet says, V'da'od, and you should be further aware, Da'afilu im betoch hagnud shegina et chavero, gina et atzmo gamken bazeh, hagnud gufa. That even if in the negative report, which the speaker is demeaning his fellow, he also disparages himself within that report. Va'afilu hikdim lehitraem al atzmo bazeh, and even if the speaker begins talking badly about himself first, and then only goes to talk about Shimon, afilu hachi miklal delatoria lo nafki. It's included in lashon hara. So some people might use that as an excuse why they justify, talking about another person. They go, no, I was talking about myself. I included myself in the negativity. So therefore, it's okay. As long as I'm including myself, I can talk about somebody else who is also doing bad. No. it doesn't work. This is all, even if you include yourself, it would still be Lashon Hara. Now you wanna talk negatively about yourself and leave Shimon out of it? Okay, I don't know how good that is for your self-esteem, but okay. If you want to reveal that type of things to your friends, you can. I guess your choice is yours. So here the Sefer gives a summary of Klal Aleph, which we've spent the last few days reading. So just in short, number 1, it is forbidden to disparage another Jew, whether by speaking, hinting, or writing. Number 2, the prohibition applies even if the negative information is true. If the report is not true, then the speaker is motzi shemra, and that sin is more severe. Number 3, whenever one speaks Lashon Hara, he violates at the very least the prohibition of lo telech rachil, do not be a talebearer, but he's very likely transgressing many other sins. Number 4, one who habitually speaks Lashon Hara is called a Baal Lashon Hara, and his punishment is even more severe than the one who does the 3 capital crimes. Number 5, it is forbidden to speak Lashon Hara even if one is pressed into doing so, or even if one's parent or rabbi is demanding the negative information, unless there is a to'elet, but we're going to see that later on. Number 6, if need be, one must be ready to be ridiculed and even forfeit his parnasa in order to avoid speaking Lashon Hara. And number 7, even if one relates Lashon Hara about himself, he can't mention the names of others who joined him in the wrongful deed. Okay? With that, we will begin Klal Bet. It looks like we're probably only going to have time to do Halacha Aleph, because Halacha Bet is long and probably requires an introduction. Okay, so Klal Bet, this is the second rule. Halacha Aleph, here in this Klal, the Chafetz Chaim dispels the common misconception that a person can say or repeat Lashon Hara in public. And he's going to start by saying that speaking Lashon Hara in presence of many is much worse than doing it in front of a single person. Asur lesaper Lashon Hara al chavero, af shehu emet, afilu bifnei yachid, vechol sheken barabim. It's forbidden for a person to speak Lashon Hara about a friend or a fellow, even if it's true, even if it's said in the presence of one listener, and certainly in the presence of numerous listeners. So you wanna publish an article, okay, about Lashon Hara trashing one guy. Okay, all of the newspapers are very often transgressing Lashon Hara on a daily basis on multiple levels, and probably the worst ways, because the type of articles that go out, whether it's trashing politicians or trashing business owners or the whatnot. These are things that happen every single day.
But it's okay if it's a toilet, right? If there's a reason for it.
The toilet, the discussion is going to come later. And yes, sometimes there is a toilet, but if there's no toilet and they just want to report information because it makes great news, then no. The greater the number of listeners present, the greater the speaker's transgression. Because his fellow will be more embarrassed. Because now it's publicized to more and more people. It causes more infliction on the subject. So scenario here is, Shimon is absent from a business meeting. Levi mentions in front of the group that they achieved a lot without Shimon's interference, implying that he usually tries to dominate the meetings. Levi's sin of Lashon Hara has now been multiplied by the number of people who heard it. That's what it is. Gam shal yedeh zeh, and also by doing it publicly, machshil kama anashim beisur shmiat Lashon Hara, you now make the listener stumble in the sin of Lashon Hara, which would now, you would be transgressing lifnei iver lo titen michshol, because you're making them listen to this, and this is haskamat kol haposkim. This is for sure a consensus by all the poskim that you causing them to listen to Lashon Hara because you decided to make that statement at your board meeting or whatnot or wherever, implying that so and so person has a negative quality to him. is a multiplies that sin in many ways. We'll stop here. We'll continue tomorrow. Bezrat Hashem.